Hi everyone, I'm back with another video. I want to talk a little bit about the video that I posted last night of me being anxious. The reason why I was anxious was because I had a lot of thoughts running through my head. I was getting a lot of intrusive thoughts. I've been told it's intrusive thoughts, but I've also been told it's hallucinations. It's stemmed off anxiety type thoughts. The thoughts I was having was I was getting these images in my head. They're like visions. I'm awake when I see them, but it's like a movie being played in your head, but it's like a violent image. Like let's say for instance, let's say you're driving down the street and an image pops up in your head of, you know, you're driving and let's say a car swerved a little bit. You're anxious and in your mind you're seeing the car swerving into the car and then the car flipping. That's the type of thought somebody with anxiety that gets panic attacks, that's nervous about driving, would get. That's just that's just a reaction. It's something that, you know, your mind is very powerful, and someone like me who has really high anxiety and is anxiety driven person, everything makes me anxious, everything makes me nervous. So I get these images in my head all the time. But it's not only, you know, when I'm like, if I'm doing something, an image will pop up in my head just out of nowhere. I would get images just, I don't know, my boyfriend rides, you know, a bike, and my dad made, because he's a welder, he made a seat in the back of the bike for me to sit on. And when we go riding around the town, I would get these images in my head of us getting hit by a car or whatever, and while I'm sitting on the bike, I would just be so anxious and so nervous. I would have that image in my head. That's a normal reaction. That's a normal fear. That's anxiety driven. But with me, I get these images in my head of something like violent happening, like last night I was getting an image of someone breaking in and cutting my throat. I couldn't sleep. I was nervous. I was sleeping. I had just woken up. It was like between 12:30, and I was really nervous. I was really anxious, and I went and I took my medicine to relax, and I thought, well, you know, let me come on here and explain a little bit of how I'm feeling. But I didn't go into great detail of what it was that was bothering me. I did have a thought of someone breaking in and cutting my throat, and it made me really nervous. It started last night. Last night my dad's friend came by. He was knocking on the door. It was like 6:30 at night. He was knocking on the door, and it made me nervous, you know. My initial thought when that happened was someone's gonna break in. Someone's knocking because they want to break in, and they're gonna kill me, and that's what was running through my head. Just total panic, fear. And he wouldn't go away. They just kept knocking. So my dad came out and he's like, oh, it's so-and-so. And I'm like, okay, now I can relax. But I still had that thought running through my head because I was already panicked. I was panicking. I was already anxious about that. I know it sounds ridiculous, But I wasn't taking my medicine that day. I didn't take my medicine at all yesterday. I skipped my medicine. So I was having those thoughts. So I went to sleep. I think it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I fell asleep. I fell asleep early. And I woke up around between 12 and 12:30 in the morning. And I started to feel anxious. And I had those images running through my head of someone breaking in and cutting my throat. And it made me nervous. And I got up. I went and I took my medicine to relax a little bit. And then the scenario at the end just kept changing. It went from cutting my throat to someone choking me. There was one thought of someone cutting me up and burning me, and I was smelling fire. I was just smelling something burning. Like, my mind was just, it was really intense. That's why when I have these images, I hear things, I see things, I have sense of smell. I could smell certain things during these type of thoughts. So I'm not really sure if it's a hallucination or if it's intrusive thoughts from the anxiety, because it's so intense. I've been told it's both. It's either or, so I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I've always had thoughts like this growing up. Ever since I was a little kid, I would have images and thoughts like that running through my head. And I never spoke about it. Like, when I went to therapy, I never mentioned it because I was so used to it. I thought it was normal. So I never spoke about it. I never opened up. I never said anything to anybody. But that's what was running through my head last night. But it's, it's something I deal with, like, every day. It doesn't go away. Even with the medicine, it still happens, but it's not frequent. It doesn't bother me all day. It doesn't cause anxiety. So, I get those thoughts. It's just, it pops up in my head, and I'm not even worried about it. It's like it, it's just there, and then that's it. Like, it doesn't bother me. But that's what was going on last night. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about what I was experiencing, what was going on last night. I didn't go into great detail, but that's what it was. I get these images all day, every day, if I'm not taking the medicine. It's very intense. It's very violent. I get, images of someone hurting me, or I get images of someone hurting someone else, or of me being raped, or just, the normal fear of if I'm eating, I get images of me choking. So it's just, I'm constantly anxious. I'm constantly worried. Everything makes me nervous. Everything makes me anxious. So everything that I do, it's almost as if I feel like I'm being watched constantly. Now, this is the paranoia part of my bipolar. I'm a mixed bipolar, but I have psychotic features with the bipolar disorder. And that's where it stems off, the paranoia of me being watched. So when I get these experiences with these images in my head and the voices, it's very intense, and it's all through the bipolar. It's all from it. It is hereditary. My mom's side of the family, they're all bipolar. All of them, all the women, all my cousins are bipolar. I have a cousin that is schizophrenic and bipolar, so I'm just lucky to only have the bipolar and not the other. So yeah, so I just wanted to open up and tell you a little bit more of what was going on with me last night and what I was experiencing and why I was so anxious. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, comment, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.